understanding jurisdiction. Without further ado, I'm going to call it Chiefing with the Chief Pontiac.
Welcome. I'm going to do some invites. Well, first I'm going to get set up. It's 11:10, born again. Chiefing with the Chief. This is understanding jurisdiction. Right, so I'm gonna do some invites here. If y'all coming in, please share. We finna go over some important information. And y'all might put all my family up here. And we all know family don't listen to nothing a nigga say until they realize that the nigga been right the whole time. You gotta go from nigga to gorilla. So what I'm gonna do is, first I'm gonna go into a little bit about understanding jurisdiction. There's gonna be a post. It's gonna be two posts actually. One is gonna be the receipts. I'm gonna post them tomorrow after the Young Elder show. Okay, it's starting to give me a problem. So if y'all could share this, and we can get started. We don't understand territorial jurisdiction. We don't understand subject matter jurisdiction. And we don't understand the jurisdiction of person. Now, these people have been an occupying foreign entity, hostile and belligerent to the tribes of the land. These people, the same ones that call themselves our government, our judicial system, our police departments, our city halls are all incorporated. None of these people is acting under the will of the caretakers of the land, which is the organic original tribes. I don't like to use the word native because it's been misappropriated. I don't like to use the word Indian because it's been misappropriated. I don't like to use the term Moor because it's a catch term to classify groups of people under a skin color, hair texture that's not even the same people. Under that banner, you got people that look like us that ain't us, masquerading as us, and they telling us a different historical narrative than our elders told us. They tell a different historical narrative than these mounds on the land, all across the land tell. They tell a different narrative in metaphysics, quantum physics, and astrology and astronomy. They don't have the same understanding that we have being organic to the land, because we know if you pull out a Native American map I'm gonna show y'all what I'm talking about. Y'all know I like to drop a receipt every now and then and give a motherfucker a headache. If you go to Google and type in map of tribes before 1492 in America. You'll get a whole bunch of maps. But this one right here, the tribal nations map, I want y'all to see it so you know what you're looking for. When you pull this map up and you see all of these tribes, the question you've got to ask the Moors, which one of these tribes is Moor and which one of these tribes are not? Where was the Moors settled in the Americas on the land? Now, the righteous Moors, I don't got no problem with them because they the ones of us fighting in the dark, not knowing how this game is being played. So they know they from over here, and they know they tribal affiliation outside of this box called Moor. Right? We are not Moors. You got some that's Moors over here that came from Europe. The ones that came from Europe came as Spanish conquistadors. They were supported by the Dutch and the Portuguese, right? Because that's who their alliances was with. They came over as French Huguenots, right? So when you look up Huguenots, they have you believing they pale faces. I'm going to show you. So they show it to you like this. This is part of whitewash history. But when you go to the descriptions, it say Huguenots were French Protestants, mainly Calvinists, who faced persecution in the 16th and 17th century. They were a significant part of the French Protestant reform movement and faced religious intolerance, leading to migrations to other parts of Europe and the Americas. Right? So they came over as Protestants. Now remember, the Catholic Church opened the doors under the doctrine of discovery. The Pope, he rescinded the doctrine of discovery or repudiated, whatever term they want to use, right? Now, this ain't chiefing with the chief yet, because I ain't chiefing. Hold on. Let me get caught up, people. So the French also, you had the royalty of Europe called gentry that was melanated, right? And if you go to Google and you type in Black English settlers to America, right? They whitewash because they want you to believe that Saxe Goldman, the House of Windsor, and all of those other tribes was the ones who came over here. They the cover story, the crash dummy, the fall guy. They came over here because the Spanish and the French, first it was the Spanish. That's why when you look at the Spanish Americas, the Spanish had settled more or colonized more of the Americas, North, Central, and South, than anybody from Europe. Them was the conquistadors. Them niggas is who we in this conjure war with. The conjure war is your civil war written, the contract was written in the blood of Crispus Attucks. It's called First Blood. I did a show with B-Del explaining and showing how they use blood right rituals to put spells across nations of people without their knowledge. The only reason why it continues to work is because we don't know that they wrote that secondary constitution in, the first one was 1868 or something. No, it was 13 years after the Civil War. Civil War was 1776 when they declared independence. They were under the Articles of Confederation for I think either 8 or 13 years. I'm going to go with the 8 year because I'm not for sure. So I'm going to use the smaller number of years from the incident when they killed this man and used his blood to put us in this spell. We was under 3 different conjures. This is what made Africa fall as well, because the Africans was under the Amen spell. And they was purveyed primarily through Islamic means, and then later through Christian means, and then later through Hebrew means. The Amen spell is the spell that makes your inner divinity self-subjugate. It's a self-imposed conjure that you do to yourself. Now, the oldest of these conjures is roughly 6,000 years old, called Kingu, which is a hypnotic sleep state that was done in Babylon by a guy named Ninursin. So when they say y'all are sinners, they say that y'all are all practicing the rites of Ninursin, the god Sin in the Babylonian pantheon of gods. These fake gods masquerading as the earthborn. We don't worship no man. This is what y'all gotta understand. We never worship no man. We respect our leadership, we respect our elders, but we don't worship them niggas. Even the Orisha, a good Orisha priest gonna tell you, we don't worship them niggas. We call them niggas to give us help. They don't want you worshiping them. You go worshiping Legbutt, he gonna tear your ass up. He gonna whoop you into submission. Ogun, Baron Samadi, Ola Damare, they will tear your ass up talking about worship. It's honor and respect of the ancestral bloodlines. Now, these people came over here and they gave us the illusion. This is a grand David Copperfield type illusion of stealing our land. But every time I look out the window, I still see this shit. A primary aspect of theft is the concealment of whatever it is that you steal. You can't hide this over 5 million acres of land or square miles of land from Canada to South America. You can't hide that shit. So on Young Elder tomorrow, we gonna go over showing you how we was an occupied territory under a police state, under the false pretenses of a government, and these was foreign enemy combatants. And then I'm gonna show you that they said the people of this land was the enemy. They reiterated it in the banker's documents through the Black Law Dictionary. They have to put it where it's accessible information. You can discover the fraud. Once you discover the fraud, now you have the capability to rally everybody to dismantle the fraud. And we looking at the dismantling of the fraud, but now everybody that been wanting the fraud to be dismantled is the same people complaining that the fraud is being took apart because the people that's doing it don't look like you expected. You was waiting on some long-haired, stringy hippie to come surfing off a cloud with a Philharmonic orchestra behind him on another cloud, bumping Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, and that's how you was expecting your so-called Christ to return. That's BS. That's orthodox bullshit. It's not unorthodox. It's straight bullshit. It's not a roundabout bullshit. Jesus is ISIS. It's two people talking in red. When you get that understood, then you'll see that why they never mention Emmanuel again. God is with us, because that nigga wanted to test some shit up. That nigga was the one flipping the table over in front of his mama church or synagogue. That nigga was the one told Peter and Paul, I mean not Peter and Paul, but Peter and John, go sell off your garments and buy up swords and knives. We're going to take these bitches to war tonight in the Garden of Gethsemane. He the one that in Matthew 10:34, I said, I come not to bring peace. I came to bring a sword. But we don't know that that sword is the sword of truth until we get to Revelations. And out of his mouth came a two-edged sword. It cuts down the enemy, but it cuts the captives free. It cut both ways. And that sword is the truth. And the lie is the shield. So if you don't know what the lie is, you can't protect yourself. So you got to be extra skilled with that sword of truth so that you can swing that motherfucker and cut motherfuckers free or cut a motherfucker down. However you want to cut it, as long as you know how to swing it. When they tell you to put on the whole armor of God, it ain't talking about physical armor. It's talking about your spiritual discernment tools that you need in order to decipher the artificial reality that you living in. Because you, like a fish, you don't even see the air that you breathing, but you know you need it to breathe, and it's saturated with consciousness. And then if you break the air down, you'll find it's about 60% water. And when you figure that out, you figure that consciousness comes through you, because water is the physical symbol for spirit, right? So let me get the chief. It's always one of us that haven't done no research that come on telling us, oh, you just don't want to be black. You denying your African heritage. Bullshit. Bullshit. I posted a couple days ago. All of the West African oral traditions say they came from the land west of the Great Waters. They called it the Ethiopian Sea before it was the Atlantic Ocean. But we don't know nothing about that because we misunderstood Marcus Garvey when he was talking about this confraternity. He was telling us that we need to communicate with them people in Africa, because the ones that's about what's right gonna tell you, nigga, you ain't from over here. You from over there. Y'all sent us over here. We got exiled from the Americas probably about 20,000 BC. And they've been there that long. But we don't want to talk about that because most of us want to follow Western education or miseducation down the path of self-annihilation under the pretense of patriotism. I'm not a patriot. I'm a matriot. I honor the matriarchy. There's nothing no man can do for me. I can't do nothing for no man. We ain't gonna never get along in no intimate setting because we not wired that way. I like women. They can put up as many cross-dressers in Hollywood on the screen and tell you this is a bad bitch. I don't care. I don't want no cross-dressing bitch. I don't want no sissies. And it ain't homophobia. It's not an attack against homosexuality. I don't care what they do with their life. Them people got to live their life, not me. Right? So, share. Don't forget to share the video when y'all come in. Now, when you start piecing together, as Pleasant say, when you start exhuming a nation is a misnomer. A nation and nationality are misnomers. They are subtle flips to turn you from a citizen slave to a national slave. I'm going to let that settle for a minute while I relight this blunt. They trying to get you to go from a citizen slave to a national slave, but you still a slave. Autonomy. We don't even know what that shit is. Because ain't nobody never taught autonomy and self-realization. What's the other word? It's autonomy, self-determination. They now teach that to us. We have to be wired a little different to start investigating. Freedom is autonomy. Your ability to roam to and fro on your territory without a police asking you for no slave papers called a driver's license, a passport, a state ID, or any other slave document. You don't need no paperwork to traverse any land unless you're in a police state. If you go back to Johannesburg in South Africa, you seen the same thing. They was over there telling them people don't leave your area without your papers. What papers? The South Africans been in South Africa for thousands of years and now they need papers? Who came up with that idea? It's the same thing they did to us. This is why you have to get, you have to understand the concept of the confraternity. So Ibrahim Traore, right? That's my champion on the motherland. He got this. But this nigga sitting up there in front of Congress, talk about he stopped the gold to use it for his own purpose. That nigga, I don't know where that kind of nigga come from. He don't even need to be, look, court-martial me. Kick me out the military. I'm not participating in nobody's coup d'etat of a righteous man feeding his people. But we don't want to talk about that because we want everything to be easy and we want somebody else to do our work for us. Can't nobody do your part. You the only person wired in this system to do your part. When you don't do your part, life gonna whoop your ass from pillar to post. You the only one with the unique skill set that you have. That nature put you on the path to learn all of the stuff you know. So you can live your life purposefully and not haphazardly. And the side effect of avoiding it, running from it, trying to duck it and hide it is ass whooping time. Spiritual ass whooping ain't got nothing on one of these cats in the streets whooping your ass all up and down the strip. A spiritual ass whooping is the worst ass whooping you're going to ever get in your life. I know because I tried to run from this shit and got whooped into a new reality and a new timeline. I don't want no more of that shit. So here I am on social media, which I hate with a passion, giving away free game. All this shit been paid for. I got books all over the place. This is paid for already. I done read them. Because this information has to be given back to the people, and somebody got to make it plain enough for a baby to understand it. I was told by Elijah, make it plain enough for a baby to understand it. And I was told by Malachi, right knowledge brings right understanding. Right understanding inspires right overstanding. And right overstanding gets you to see the perspective from the God's eye view. If you don't understand that, then you ain't got right knowledge. The Buddha left the eightfold path of righteousness. But we don't want to talk about that because we've been told that Buddhism is a religion. We don't know it's a system of liberation. You first have to liberate the mind. What did In Vogue say? Free your mind and your ass will follow. But we act like we don't understand. We just a good song to dance to. Free your mind. Yeah, it's a good dance song, but listen to what they saying. Listen to Phyllis Hyman when she say, I'm going to make changes, going to make minds aware. The power is in the massive. Collectively, they believe in me. Come on now, they're telling you the game. They giving you the keys. Stop running from yourself and stand up on your own 2 feet and follow your path. Don't follow Rod Hayes' path. Follow your path. Everybody got a role to play in the part. And the good thing about it is when you get done doing your part, if everybody ain't caught up, you're going to feel like you ain't doing nothing because your shit done. You ain't got nothing else to do. But if you don't do your part, you're going to get these spiritual ass whoopings that's going to be like a domino effect of kick you in the ass. So the jurisdiction is the power of rulership over us. What we striving for is something called jurisdictional supremacy. We have what's called territorial jurisdiction of the first right based off the legal doctrine. First in time is first in line. They can't come take our jurisdiction without us surrendering it. But if it's not enough of us that understand that the jurisdiction of the territory belongs to the organic original referred to in the Indigenous Rights Act of the United Nations and the American Indigenous Rights Act as the indigenous people of the land. They tell you in there you have a right to self-govern. Can't nobody give you a right. You have to exercise a right in order for it to be actionable. They can take your rights from you if you let them. But when you standing in your position of proper persona, sui juris, right, de jure, original, that's all Latin shit that they brought over here with them to confuse us about saying what Big Mama always say. We don't follow no law but the great law. We honor no leadership but the matriarchy. Period. That's it. That's it. And when Cipico put the Pope on notice, he responded. He responded. Why did he respond? Because it was a series of tribes doing their part to exercise jurisdiction, territorial jurisdiction over the de facto corporation. We staked the totem pole in D.C. because we had to claim that embassy territory of the city-state of Washington, D.C. back from the corporation. That was done in 2017. Then somebody had to call once with the blood and the right. I got the blood and the right. I'm organic Mississippi red clay dirt walking the land. And I'm telling y'all, from the tribal ranking system, I have the right by blood and the knowledge to cancel all contracts for fraud and non-performance. It's in their law that fraud vitiates all contract. No contract established on fraud shall stand as a true contract in law or commerce. It's a non-enforceable doctrine. Once you understand that they use an admiralty jurisdiction to overwrite or underwrite, undermine the land and the people of the land, we don't honor admiralty jurisdiction. That's not our system of law. Matriarchal jurisdiction, caretakers of the land, first in time, first in line, to the whole of the Americas and the rest of the world for that matter, because we have a confraternity of other people similarly situated all over earth that's fighting the same fight on their land, that they have the blood and the right to dispute the contracts of the corporations that's masquerading as our governments. They masquerading as our peacekeepers, but all the time they oppressive regimes of foreign agencies sent to spread the white man's burden of civilizing the heathens and converting them to the power of the papacy and not the church. The church is just a building, right? So the power of the church rests in the papacy. I don't give a fuck if it's Protestant church. All of their 501c3 standards is based on Vatican approval of their ministerial duties. That means if they Baptist, Pentecostal, Presbyterian, Lutheran, Islamic, Hebrew, Jewish, Israelite, any religious organization that follow the doctrine of the three monotheistic religions are all under the jurisdiction of the Pope. The Pope is the highest ranked imam in Islam, and Muslims don't even know it. That's the sad part. The Pope was the highest ranked Kohen, which is priest, in the Judaic orders, right? Drawing his power to govern over the Hebrew Israelites from the Talmud and the Mishnah, not the Torah. They don't even use, that's the shit they use to indoctrinate the people they call Goy. The Goyim. The chattel human. The angry sheep. That defend the doctrine of the oppressor. Every time you turn around, it's one of these diet woke ass niggas. A Dr. Umar Johnson, unapologetically African ass, but he don't want to move to Africa. He don't want to go to Africa and help Ibrahim Traore, because Ibrahim Traore would see through his little kind game and lock his ass the fuck up because he ain't about what's right. I tried to get a brother the chance. I'm done with him. He didn't went too far. He started calling the indigenous people of the land his African brothers. Africa wasn't even named Africa when the motherfuckers came over here. How the fuck did we get to be Africans? I would have rather you call me an Ethiopian. Ether Utopia. The prime ether. The prima matter. The seed of the great mother. But no, you want to call us African. The divided land. Ifraki. That was done in the Berlin Conference. But we ain't supposed to know that because your scholars told you was traded as cattle and chattel across the seas that don't even make sense. All you got to do is get the video from some of these naval vessels that be crossing the Atlantic and tell me how your shanty ship gonna handle that shit made out of some goddamn pine tar and goddamn sticks. They have 5,000-year-old boat from China, a 7,000-year-old ship. Still fully intact in Egypt, in the pyramid, by the way. These motherfuckers been took out and put on display for the world to see, the oldest ships. But they don't have one intact slave ship where they can show you where this gas chamber was that these niggas vomiting and shitting and pissing in the hull of the ship, turning it into a gas chamber with methane gas. And don't even mention the sisters on their menses, because it's a 90-day trip, so they're going to have at least 2-3 periods if they make it that long. That don't make no damn sense. It defies logic, and it defies common sense. Right? So, we are in a position now where they finna give it all back. They finna give it all back. We gonna discuss more of this topic tomorrow on the Young Elder Show. But remember, all of this shit was supposed to be temporary. The United States Corporation contract, written in the blood of Crispus Attucks as a constitution, was a 250-year contract as defined. It was a 200-year contract. They got the extension because we broke the contract in 1812 and took them motherfuckers back to bloody warfare. And we were supposed to be educating ourselves above the conditions, right? But 1812, we had enough of their games and they murdering other leaders, cheating in the game that they said they was playing by the rules, but they never followed the rules. They broke every goddamn rule and they still breaking the rules. And the only time the rules apply is when they got one of our black asses in their grips. Then the rules apply. But when they doing it, when they trafficking over 800,000 children out of America every year, it don't apply to them niggas. When they sitting here having freak off parties and conning entertainers into giving up their chastity and their manhood and their womanhood for a contract in order to have a better life, that's a violation of the rules. They use fraud because they know fraud vitiates our contract, but if nobody never identify the fraud, you can't never change the condition. You can't never expose what they doing to cripple us because you don't know the sorcery part. Because anybody that decide to go into the dark arts to see if it's being worked on, you got to study that shit or you not gonna know. But they told you that's the devil's information and you ain't supposed to touch it. The devil mean enemy. So if they tell you it's the devil's information, that's your enemy's information, and you need to know what your enemy teach in order to know how to defend yourself from his dogmatic doctrines, his usurping nature, his undermining totalitarian mentality, his Iceman inheritance, his psychopathic racial personality, and they ain't even paleface. Them niggas hate theyself for being this color more than we hate the motherfuckers that we thought was the problem and we was being lied to the whole time. I couldn't understand why them old pale faces used to tell me, why you mad at us? It was your own people that did it to you. What the fuck is y'all talking about? Now I know. They look like us, they not us. All of the other people that participate in this racial caste system, they doing it because they don't want to get mixed up in the dirty Moors and the righteous Moors fighting it out in the hood. So they want to get far away from it and ostracize us as much as possible to minimize their inclusion in the goddamn conflict. But they don't know is they chose the wrong side. They chose the side of the colonizer to be their hero. That's where the problem came in. We had contracts that's ancient with Chinese, Japanese, with Mongolians, with Huns. We got ancient that we still use Lee in the middle name, the old Mississippians do, because we honoring the contract that showed us that we had blood ties to the tribes that came and asked permission the right way, the ones that came across the Bering Straits. They came and asked for permission to settle the land, and Big Mama said, come on, baby, you know we feed everybody. But when these rotten motherfuckers sailed over here, what did Columbus write in his diary? How loving we are, how kind we are, how we have no need for anything because anything we have, we'll give it to somebody that need it. Oh yeah, these niggas gonna be easy to conquer. The jig is up. Y'all lost, nigga. Spain submitted. They tapped out. 428. They tapped out. They lost. They got crushed. They got put in their place. They done. They blackout. That's the signal. When they lost, they got the blackout. It's the same as getting the knockout in the boxing ring. When the motherfucking eyes close, you don't see no goddamn lights over your head. You too busy in the laid back with your foot rising up off the mat. Unless you jump up and do some jab judo and say, did you play with matches? I know people commenting, but the only thing that's coming up, believe it or not, is who's coming on the video. I'm not seeing damn comment that y'all commenting. And it ain't no way, long as I've been doing this, that 213 people is in here and there's no comments. That's crazy. So I don't know, they might have the comments turned off. Let me look and see. How would I know? They want me to take a poll. I don't know, but I'm not getting no comments. But anyway, Shout out to Lazarus Lamel with the Messiah Code. Yeah, here goes some history that y'all know. The first person that opened the door for me was Crumb. The first person to interview me was Lazarus Lamel from the Messiah Code. Look, when I tell y'all that gematria and numerology need each other, go check out the Messiah Code, Lazarus Lamel. He that's my guy. He the real deal. He know how to read, and he one of them come out that school of right knowledge. Right? So just so y'all know, because it's a lot of people instrumental in us becoming aware of what's going on in the takeover. Y'all watching the takeover, it just not happening as fast as y'all wanted to because it ain't bloody warfare. It ain't shocking all bombs being dropped. It's systematic. Shut this part down. Shut that part down. We don't need that bullshit. Stop them from giving our money to them niggas and them niggas and them niggas. They don't need our money. Tell them to get their own money. Look, they've been siphoning money out of our big mama's bank by not letting us access it, using it on our behalf to do business and keep other countries across Europe and around the world afloat. Look at the map of U.S. military bases around the world. They got bases in places they shouldn't even be. Let that sink in. The United States got military bases in places they shouldn't even be. I said they because I'm not part of that shit that they doing. I don't agree with that shit that they doing. I don't support the assassination of heads of state because they won't play by the rules that you made when you came over and ran that same shit on these chiefs. It's a new sheriff in town. I'm not falling for the okie doke. All I know is notice to agent is notice to principal. Tribal responsibility is to put it in the public domain. The public domain is recognized in law as a timestamp archivable format. All social media platforms are admissible as public domain information because the reach extends beyond 1,000 people. So notice to agent being notice to principal. That means notice to principal is also notice to agent. All these motherfuckers is on notice. They all on borrowed time. We watching this shit fold in front of their face, not like they did us, behind our back in front of our face. They did everything in secret to control us in the public. We doing everything in the public to destroy their secrets. Let that sink in. They do everything in the secret to control us in the public. We doing everything in the public to expose their secrets. Ain't no more secret squirrel.